Puma Pants says hello. He just had a massive cat bath. Seems to have relaxed after that. I should be so fastidious. Anyway, today I'd like to talk to you about the difference between who we are and who we think we are. Boy, what a differential there can be there. The difference between who you are and who you think you are. I'm going to jump around to a few different phrases from various scriptures. And the first line we might visit is one that says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. Well, that's a wonderful line, isn't it? To improve, really, you're not done? To improve our conscious contact with God. Well, if we could improve our conscious contact with God, that would imply that we have unconscious contact with God. In fact, perhaps there have been times in my life where I could almost boast of 100% unconscious contact with God. So all of us, every single one of us, describe ourselves on a scale, so to speak. We're either up the scale of conscious contact with God, or we're way down the scale with a good deal of unconscious contact with God. Clearly, we always have a contact with God. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be a here. There wouldn't be a now. There wouldn't be life. There wouldn't be the animating life force percolating through all of our nervous systems. And yet, we can have almost 100% unconscious contact with God. What's the effect of that? Well, things don't go so well. When we're unconscious of who we really are, we tend to err in our thinking and our actions and our behavior. So how is it that we improve our conscious contact with God? Well, one thing we often discuss in the morning is how it is that we think about ourselves. In what way do we regard ourselves in our thought? How is it that we think about ourselves? Well, let's visit another great line from World Scripture and throw a little bit more paradox into it. The one where Jesus says, you cannot by taking thought add 1 cubit to your measure. It's such a stunning line. It's so Zen, it's so Hindu, it's so Eastern, it's so different, because so much of his teaching involves, as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be, etc., etc. Yet in the Sermon on the Mount, he comes out and plainly states in no uncertain language that you cannot by taking thought add 1 cubit to your measure. In other words, our thought can in no way increase or improve our true and original nature. Well, that's pretty stunning. Well, then, does that mean I don't have to think anymore? Does that mean my thinking is futile and hopeless? If my thinking isn't going to do anything, if I can't improve my stature with my thinking, as Jesus clearly states, then frankly, what the hell's going on around here? I want to talk to the manager right now. So, and then one more line from World Scripture. We'll zip over to the Bhagavad Gita. And this is my favorite line, one of my favorite lines from the Gita, which is the great Indian Bible. It says, wind can't blow it, water can't wet it, fire can't burn it, wind can't blow it, and knives can't cut it. And of course, it's speaking about our true nature, our essential spirit, our divine quality that's within us. It says, there's no worldly thing that can happen to us. Trees can't fall on you, knives can't cut you, fire can't burn you, which seems to be so utterly contrary and opposed to what our experience of life is. It seems like we're fragile in so many different ways. One of my favorite songs by Sting is the song Fragile, where he talks about we live under this angry star and we're just these little puffs of microorganisms that seem to be so fragile in so many different ways. And yeah, maybe our mortal coil is that. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is the difference between who we think we are and who we actually are the gap can be closed. The way that we think about ourselves can come into alignment with our divinity, our truth, and our strength. And yet, it's not just our thinking that's going to do that. Obviously, we can think really well, but if our behavior is off, then That's not going to work. That's just pathetic positive thinking. And if our emotional life is how shall we say, cataclysmic or disturbed, then that's not going to work. We have to bring an alignment between our thought and our feeling and our action. And as we do that every single day, patiently and persistently, we'll do what the first prayer said. We will improve our conscious contact with God. And it'll never happen overnight, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But as we think more accurately, more intelligently, with greater common sense, as we think in alignment with the truth of our nature, as we begin to tame our emotions and find some emotional sobriety, if you will, and as our actions and behaviors become just, moral, and ethical, we will begin to get this actual knowledge of who we are. And knowledge of who we are, the experience of who we are, is worth 1,000,000,000,000 thoughts. It's the difference between reading the menu and eating the food. But in the meantime, until we do remember and come into the full glory of self-realization, we do have to align thought, feeling, and action. And as we do that, the aperture of our soul will begin to open. More of this light will begin to come into us. And as we do that, we'll make the transition from who we think we are to who we actually are. And that will be the greatest milestone in the history of our lives, so to speak. Anyway, food for thought. I'll see you all in the morrow.